People might ask, is Mr. Putin in a fridge? Well, I did a short video yesterday about the rumours surrounding Mr. Putin's appearance at the Alaska summit. And this is based very much on the claims made by Jake Bro that the person who was at the summit was not Mr. Putin. Now, these rumours have been ongoing since 2015, when Putin disappeared for about 10 days and then reappeared, and there were things which were slightly quirky about him, slightly strange. Not as strange as they were at Alaska. In Alaska, of course, he was gurning like a clown. He was performing in a way that Putin does not perform. But there are bigger issues, and somebody said that I've been putting forward various conspiracy stories about Putin's death. These aren't conspiracy stories. These are very well recorded stories, and they need documentation. So, on the one hand, if Putin has got doppelgangers, this may explain. This points to a fearful tyrant, or it points to a dead tyrant. And if he is dead or in hiding, then that points to doppelganger. So you've got a sort of circular argument here. So these are sticky claims that constantly reinforce each other. Among them also is the evidence of Putin's walk. In fact, let's begin with Putin's walk, because a while ago I did a bit of animation because I wanted to look at the walk more carefully. So I animated Putin and Trump, and oddly, here they are. They were together in Alaska. Have a look. Here's Mr. Trump with a bit of wavy hair and tossing his head, and here's Mr. Putin with his slightly limping gait. Now, what are the three claims? The three claims specifically are: 1, Putin died in October 23. 2, Putin is gay, as a man called Stanislav Belkovsky made the allegation in a book. Belkovsky continues to live. He didn't find a quick exit out of a top floor window, and the book was printed in Russian. It is not an explicit allegation. It's implicit, but it's definitely there. And the rumour is widespread in Moscow. 3, the public Putin is a doppelganger. And I'll map out where each claim comes from, why they feed the others, and how to test them without getting lost in wishful thinking. The death narrative that raced across TV tickers late in October 2023 tracks back to one source: the anonymous Telegram channel General SVR. It pushed a tale of cardiac arrest with a corpse on ice. It was very specific about hours, times, and details, and within hours the story was amplified by foreign outlets and social media, then knocked down by mainstream fact checks that traced the entire cascade to that single unreliable channel. The fact that it hasn't gone away makes one's eyebrow rise. I have persisted with the idea because I find it funny. But the Kremlin spokesman, Dmitry Peskov, called it a hoax and parried companion claims that Putin was using doubles. The problem is, if both claims that he is dead and that he's using doubles are being denied by the Kremlin, then equally both claims could be true. If one claim is true, the other could be true. A wrinkle that kept the story alive was this: Ukraine's military intelligence publicly suggested Moscow itself might be signal testing such rumours to measure public and elite reactions. In other words, even a false report can be instrumentally useful inside Russia's system, and that is the rationale for the rumour to recur. It's a little bit like Cleopatra testing Antony's resolve by saying that she was dead. Now, why does the death story stick? Russia tightly manages personal information about the presidency, and the vacuum that it has created gives oxygen to interference. When the investigative outlet Projekt reconstructed the president's travel entourages and found repeated trips with specialists, including a thyroid cancer surgeon. Speculation about serious illness gained traction. It's not proof of cancer, but it is a concrete pattern that invites leaps. It's boosted by the presence of an ambulance in the presidential cavalcade. Added to that, the hundreds of thousands of Russian searches for Putin died in similar terms during those news spikes, and you can see how an information marketplace rewards each fresh twist. The Belkovsky 2013 biography painted Putin as a damaged, theatrical figure who floated in the middle of who floated about in the darker days of St. Petersburg, the rat incident on the staircase, and Belkovsky put out this alleged homosexual tendencies, and Der Spiegel covered those assertions at the time and noted that the Kremlin dismissed them as insinuations. Belkovsky actually said, I've read the book, he said that Putin prefers his dogs to his wife. And Der Spiegel covered those associations, those assertions, and the Kremlin dismissed them as reportage. It's an account of what an author claimed, not a verified fact. Still, the detail is sticky because it seems to undercut the machismo branding and sits against the backdrop of Russia's recent anti-LGBT legislation that has been sort of marketed by people like the Duma MP Tolstoy, Pyotr Tolstoy, who looks like a toad, and not a nice man, with a slightly strange pong, and the problem here is that it paints Putin as a sort of latter day King Ludwig of Bavaria, doesn't it? I wouldn't be surprised in the Belkovsky concept if Putin were swanning around quite literally in a boat in the middle of the night, along the river in Moscow or the river in St. Petersburg. In short, Belkovsky has supplied a personal narrative hook. Whether or not it's true, it gives partisans a ready explanation for inconsistencies in public appearance and for the cultivation of this hyper-masculine butch image and all the rumours about his affairs, which in that sense become a sort of beard. The doppelganger theory, the claims, counterclaims, and the tests, that has a much richer, a much more verifiable, and indeed, I think, a more provable claim in a history. Ukraine's intelligence chiefs have repeatedly claimed that Putin uses stand-ins, sometimes pointing to ears, gait, or height, and even suggesting multiple doubles. Japanese researchers have cited facial recognition and voice comparisons that they argue indicate at least one double. And Peskov calls it an absurd hoax. Putin himself said in 2020 that he was offered doubles years ago and refused. These are on-the-record denials. So the double idea is a possibility. Putin says he refused it. Well, does he continue to refuse it? And certainly the Putin that I see on the television now is not the same Putin that I shook hands with years ago. And maybe he's just aged badly. Maybe he's aged oddly. But maybe he's not the same person. And analysts have long noted Putin's reduced right arm swing. A 2015 BMJ paper coined the gunslinger's gait hypothesis, linking the pattern of his gait, of his walk, to weapons training rather than a neurological disorder. It's a useful reminder not every bodily quirk is medical, let alone proof of a double. High-quality outlets still state that there's no verifiable evidence that Putin is seriously ill or dead, and that is not a claim that he's healthy. And you just look at the wobbling hand, it's a statement about his strength of evidence. There's also, of course, AI interference and there's certainly AI massaging going on in a lot of his pre-recorded pronouncements. How death and sexuality rumours prop up the double thing. The double thesis thrives when a leader's persona is bigger than any single appearance. And two kinds of rumours help. Death lowers the threshold for believing any public sighting is a stand-in. If you start from he died on the 26th of October 2023, then every later event must be a double by definition. General SVR's very specificity about timings and locations gives casual observers a veneer of precision they can reuse to explain away counter-evidence. The Sexuality offers a character logic that rationalizes image shifts. Belkovsky's portrait says the macho displays were always performance. And if you buy that premise, then a visibly different Putin can be chalked up to a substitute who occasionally miscalibrates mannerisms, reinforcing the double narrative. Together, the claims provide both a mechanism and a motivation. The mechanism is a stable of doubles who handle risky or strenuous public work. The motivation is the need to sustain a mythic image that covers illness, death, or personal incongruities with the laws of Russia as it now stands, with the direction that Russia is now taking. Putin is a myth that that has been developed by the Kremlin. Now, the man may be the myth, but equally the man may be replaced by the myth. Whether true or not, the pair of rumours about death and sexuality are mutually reinforcing. So, reverse engineering the logic, when the doubles do the doubles imply death or a hidden identity, and if the double story were ever conclusively proven, what would that imply? If we someday had hard proof of routine use of doubles, the cheekbones shifting and the earlobes missing in one photograph, being present in another photograph, the eye colour changing, what would that imply? It wouldn't necessarily prove death. States sometimes use stand-ins for security and scheduling. To move from doubles to death, you would need additional indicators. A sudden absence from all unscripted settings, silent institutions that normally signal succession arrangements, and credible multi-source reporting that the real figure is incapacitated or diseased. At present, we don't have that, but we do have a crisis that needs to be stage managed. That crisis is the invasion of Ukraine. So, it is possible. Now, what we know is that Russia prepares well in advance for any crisis. Russia prepared for years to be able to doctor television reports. I was a victim of their early trials. So I know how Russia can modify, doctor, and regulate what is said on television. And there's a BBC report about my experience and the experience of the cephalogist, Professor Sir John Curtis. We were both duped by the same television program on Russian TV, sort of Saturday night political program, and I had the evidence, which was gratifying in a way, but now, of course, that ability to roll out fake news, literally fake news, to put words into people's mouths, is now routine, and is part of that propaganda drive that dominates Russian airways. So the whole swathe of Russia is being fed a diet of semi-truths, with real people saying things they have never said. So that technology is there. And in the same way, that period when Putin disappeared for 10 days in 2015, maybe he was having plastic surgery, who knows, but I'm sure there was a test to see whether or not the Putin image could survive the disappearance. So when it became necessary to keep the Putin image alive, You know, the last thing the Kremlin wants is a succession crisis during a war. As for the genuinely gay thing, even if doubles exist, they would say nothing determinate about sexuality. At best, they would support the broader claim that the public performance is curated. Belkovsky's allegation remains an allegation unless supported by independent, verifiable sourcing, and the existence of doubles would only tell you that curation happens, not which private facts are being curated. In logical terms, this is the affirming the consequent trap. If a double exists, then we might see inconsistent faces, gestures, or voice prints. We do see inconsistencies, therefore a double exists. That is invalid reasoning. The inconsistencies may have come from aging, illness, stress, lighting, or the limits of open source forensics. So we need to watch carefully to assess these claims coolly. Of course, it's endlessly entertaining, I find, to think of Putin in my Smeg fridge. But that doesn't mean that's a reality, does it? If I open the fridge, I'm not going to find, actually, let's face it, Putin topples out. Because, I mean, he's been there for so long, he'll be rock solid. That's not a carry-on joke. Does Putin still take unpredictable questions, meet allies in settings that resist pre-recording, and issue orders with measurable effects within normal timelines? Consistency here weakens the death and the doubles trope, because actually he does appear to take unpredictable questions. Steve Rosenberg has asked him questions in these public meetings, certainly since October 2023. So that is one argument against the claim that Putin is dead. The Projekt-style reconstructions of medical entourages also help, but the bar for extraordinary claims is much higher than travel rosters. We have to treat any single telegram source as entertainment unless corroborated. And the mythology behind the technical claims, the face and the voice comparisons, need transparent data sets and controls. Popular write-ups about 18% matches are suggestive, not proof, unless the underlying methods are open to proper scrutiny. So, the sober bottom line is that the October 2023 death tale is unproven and traceable to an unreliable channel with denials on the record and a plausible strategic reason for the rumour to recur. The Belkovsky sexuality claim remains exactly that, a 2013 biography's assertion reported by Der Spiegel, never verified. Putin has never come out and said, I am gay. We may be waiting. The doppelganger we may be waiting a long time if he's dead. The doppelganger thesis has been alleged by Ukrainian officials and explored by Japanese researchers, but remains unproven against on-the-record denials and the caution of mainstream analysis. People who have met Putin and look at the video footage, they may think this is not the same person. That doesn't mean it isn't the same person. There are many reasons why somebody could have changed dramatically in, 8 years. If one day there is reliable proof of doubles, if one day that reliable proof emerges, again, we can't jump straight to therefore he died in 2023 or therefore the private life is this. It would only prove that the Kremlin treats the head of state as a brand to be managed, which we know. It would be an important finding in its own right, of course, but extraordinary conclusions still require extraordinary, verifiable evidence.
Привет, Тимофей Ирикович. Я знаю, ты думаешь, что я умер? Как кот Шрёдингера. Никто не узнает правду, пока не откроет дверь. Ты тоже неважно выглядишь. Я знаю, что голос звучит женственно. Это голос из могилы. Моя мужское. dostojenstva zeterales v mares vojke. No, ja, co jeso alfa samec se defektum reče.